And there you have it. Punjab Congress implosion explodes as Captain Amarinder Singh now submits his resignation to the governor. Miffed captain says that he feels humiliated with the recent developments. He further added that the top leadership doubted his abilities to run the government. After submitting his and his Council of Ministers resignation to the governor, former Punjab Chief Minister said that the top brass must choose the Chief Minister that they trust. In fact, meanwhile, the Congress party has also called a legislator party meeting at party's headquarters in Chandigarh, which acted as the pot boiler really and led to the explosion of Punjab Congress implosion here. Now, leading to captain's resignation that's now finally been tendered, Captain Amarinder Singh speaks before the media right after he resigns.
में कि पहले तो एमएलए को एक बार बनाया दिल्ली में, दूसरी बार बनाया दिल्ली में, अब तीसरी.
All right, let me quickly cut across to our panelists joining us for more details, more perspective on exactly what's happening in Punjab Congress. Harmeet Shah Singh, senior editor, joining us. Tanveer Pruthi, political analyst. Harjot Singh Bains, AAP spokesperson, as well as Anila Singh, who's a BJP spokesperson, joining us. Let me start with Harmeet Shah Singh. Harmeet, here we're looking at Navjot Singh Sidhu. After a decade, just before he completes his second term, is almost forced to resign. This comes even after the Congress High Command has constantly been backing him in the face of the factionism that we see here. But nonetheless, internally, we now know that they have been pushing him to the edge, cornered him to such an extent where he finally was forced to resign. And that's what he said as soon as he stepped out of the governor's office.
It reminds me of what happened in 1984. That was June when Operation Blue Star had just happened. And in its wake, Captain tendered his resignation as member of parliament as well as member of the Congress party. And that one event and that one act bumped him up as persona grata of Punjab politics. Now, with this act, he has just become persona non grata of Punjab politics. Let me explain it why. Because, it's easier to bash up the Congress party, the Congress leadership. But, when we see the situation on the ground, the situation is pretty different. There is a growing perception in Punjab, and increasingly, people have begun to realize or begin to perceive that Captain Amarinder Singh is darling of powers in Delhi, darling of the central government, and that doesn't go well ever in Punjab psyche, in the psyche of Punjabi voters. If you see overall, the past 5 years, there were so many issues. There was the issue of desecration, which was blamed on the Badal government. There are issues of power distribution. Then there are issues of farm education. And Captain Amarinder Singh, didn't really go out of the way to address these issues. Number one. Number two, then you see the arrival of Navjot Singh Sidhu there. Now, Navjot Singh Sidhu, he fired salvos in two directions. One at the Badals, the other at his own chief minister. Now, that really went against Captain Amarinder Singh, and that we all know. But overall, I think Captain Amarinder Singh's resignation is a chapter that is closed now. What to be seen next is who will be his replacement. If the replacement is going to be a non-stick, non-judge chief minister, then it's advantage Badal.
Did it have to reach till the last 4 months before the assembly elections for them to actually replace the chief ministerial face? That's the question here. The Congress has now made a decision asking him to leave right to the fag end of his term. So this really signifies either Captain Amarinder Singh was not capable enough, or the Congress does not trust their own party and possibly believes that there is sufficient anti-incumbency for them to course correct right at the last moment. Let me cut across to some breaking news coming in though. Before I get to our other panelists, we have some information coming in on the Congress MLAs who's currently meeting right after the resignation of Captain Amarinder Singh. 78 Congress MLAs currently at that meet who are present. Only 2 MLAs, including Amarinder Singh, have skipped this meet. Punjab Congress MLAs meet amid Amarinder's resignation. All 78 MLAs are currently present except for 2. That includes Captain Amarinder Singh, who have skipped that meeting. In fact, remember, Soon after Captain Amarinder Singh gave his resignation, he came out to say that he has been humiliated constantly in the recent times, and his multiple meetings that were taking place between MLAs, all MLAs meet were called at least thrice earlier, and he was not informed. He was being sidelined almost strategically, and that's what it appears based on his statements that he's spoken before the media right after his resignation. Let me cut across to Tanvi Pruthi, who's our political analyst. Tanvi, here, Captain Amarinder Singh coming out, as much as the Congress hoped that he would not display his resentment out in public. He came out, gave his resignation as expected, as urged by the Congress senior leadership, but came out, did not mince words. He said he was humiliated. He said that the Congress did not trust him. He said he was being sidelined. He said he was in the loop over several meets, MLA meets that happened right in the recent past, which really pushed him to the edge. Eventually, out of absolute disappointment, he's now come out and tendered his resignation, almost also threatening that he'll quit from the Congress party itself. How do you look at this entire incident fold out?
Good evening, Nabila. Thank you so much for having me today. The politics in Punjab has changed drastically since 2017 in terms of acceptance of political leadership. In 2017, I was amongst the people who campaigned for captain, and that was the time when the victory of 2017 was the victory of captain and not Congress, because Rahul Gandhi was told not to come to Punjab for campaigning. Party leadership was loyal to captain. Party workers trusted captain more than the Gandhis. But today, as of now, unfortunately, captain has lost support from his own people who worked for him in 2017 and 19. Today, the same party cadre is going to the Gandhis in Delhi, believing in them, asking for redressal of their problems. For me, captain will always be the ultimate king in the north. I mean, 52 years of active politics, 9.5 years of CM-ship in Punjab, that's a career to be envy of. I wish things had ended differently, but the lesson is clear from Punjab to Karnataka to Gujarat to Uttarakhand, whether it's BJP or Congress, any party above politicians. And I think that he needs to take that message with the pinch of salt.
Do you think this is really a party decision entirely because of Captain Amarinder Singh possibly not living up to people's expectations, as accused by his own party member and rival within the party, Navjot Singh Sidhu? Is it that? Is it non-performance? Why don't they just say it then explicitly?
I wouldn't call it non-performance. I would call it that he's not able to put his people together. He's lost support from the MLAs. Look at the number of MLAs who are at Punjab Congress Bhavan today, and look at the people who are with him today. So that is where, it is quite visible that the MLAs of his own party, jinke sath election ladne ke liye jana hai agle saal, they are not supporting him as of now. So this is the message that the Congress leadership has taken cognizance of, and that is why they have acted as of now. Because, how do you plan to go to elections where the MLAs, where the people who are supposed to fight in their own areas, in their own districts, they are not trusting the CM?
Well, so that almost looks like that there's no coordination with the entire Congress unit in Punjab itself. It appears that Navjot Singh Sidhu kicked up a storm, and there you have the entire flock backing him. If you have another leader coming tomorrow, then you'll have another kind of factionism that would grow. It's for the Congress senior leadership to have taken a tough stand, made a decision much earlier on. Maybe not to the fag end, if they're really looking at bright prospects in the upcoming polls. Let me cut across to AAP spokesperson Harjot Singh Bains. Mr. Bains, here we're looking at AAP almost walking away, saying that this is almost a sure shot victory for AAP in Punjab. Congress has reached a dead end. That's what we hear. So that was a statement that came in from AAP soon after Captain Amarinder Singh decided to resign.
101%, because, Aam Aadmi Party has been doing so well as a role on their opposition, while at the other hand, the Congress, who had the opportunity to run the state, under the leadership of Punjab, the captain, the tall promises were made, and in last 4.5 years, Congress has failed and has not been able to deliver even on one promise. And now with only 100 days left to the code of conduct, this is, you can say this is their last mistake, and now it is a sinking ship. And people of Punjab are eagerly waiting to vote for Aam Aadmi Party. And I even doubt, with the new CM coming, with this 100 days left, even now this greed of power or this power fight will not end in the Congress. This is a big question. This has been going from last 1 year. We have been saying that kindly focus on the issues of Punjab. But sadly, Congress has been only focusing on the inner fight. And with 100 days left, now this fight will grow more. I'm 100% sure of it. While on the other hand, we as a party, our volunteers are working on the ground, and people of Punjab are eagerly waiting for the eve of election so that they can go and vote for us.
Well, if there is an opportunity to invite Captain Amarinder Singh to AAP, would you do that?
No, not at all, not at all. I think that he has been a traitor to Punjab because, see, people of Punjab gave him an opportunity, gave Congress an opportunity, and from last 4.5 years, our chief minister is living in his own farmhouse while the people of Punjab are on streets. Farmers were on streets. Youth was on street for unemployment, the contractual employees, and all other people, while the chief minister is staying in a farmhouse. And he's not even meeting his own MLAs and nothing doing. And, so it is a failed state. And Captain Amarinder Singh has brought Congress to an end in Punjab. And now it is a clear shot because Sukhbir Singh Badal or Shromani Akali Dal has lost faith. People of Punjab doesn't trust them anymore. And with the fighting, Congress cannot do. But yes, we have to stay grounded. We have to focus on our, on our positive development agenda, on our daily model, on our leaders.
4 months away, you don't have a chief ministerial face as yet.
We are very clear. Our party convener, national convener, Arvind Kejriwal has announced it that we will fight this election with the CM face, and he has said that chief minister candidate will be from Punjab. He would be preferably a Sikh, and we will definitely going with a person who has a who has a high character, and people of Punjab will definitely accept him. And soon, I think in coming few weeks, the announcements will be made.
All right, let me cut across to Anila Singh, BJP spokesperson, joining us. Anila, here you have the Congress almost hitting a roadblock with Captain Amarinder Singh now resigning. When I say roadblock, we're looking at the infighting exploding to a point where it's brought quite some embarrassment to the party senior leadership. A few states that the Congress today governs and somehow doesn't seem like they're able to get their house in order. Punjab, the issue has been running on for at least 4 years now between the two camps of Navjot Singh Sidhu and Captain Amarinder Singh to the fag, and 4 months ahead of polls, finally the party urges, almost very secretly pushes Captain Amarinder Singh to resign, but not deciding on who next, what next, what's the road forward. How do you look at this?
See, whole of the country was observing since months together, or I can say that since Navjot Singh Sidhu had started creating problem in Punjab, and the way he played his game, and I will say that he played his game very well, and he became the Punjab Congress chief. So there was a tug of war in between Navjot Singh Sidhu and Captain Amarinder, and I'm pretty sure in that tug of war, workers of the Congress there in Punjab, they must be rattled that to whom they have to support. And I will say that, yes, it is the matter of the Congress and Captain Amarinder Singh that he, like the leadership of the Congress, they have asked the resignation, or whether he himself has resigned. Like, we are no one to talk about it. But yes, we know that in their tug of war, people of Punjab have suffered. So in today's date, somehow, I was listening to Aam Aadmi Party's representative on your panel, and he seems to be very enthusiastic and very hopeful that Aam Aadmi Party might get the power in Punjab in upcoming election. I will say, I think people of Punjab are intelligent enough. Nagnat jayenge to saap nath ko wo leke nahi aa jayenge. So Punjab really requires a political party which is not only nationalist but dedicated to people, and for whom their own personal lives doesn't matter. Lives of the people living in that state matters much more. But it is very interesting to see that how the things are going to be unfolded, whether Navjot Singh Sidhu is going to take the reign of Punjab
that's
Congress
something
or
that's
somebody
very interesting. And speaking of who next, Anila, the question to you here is the Congress is now possibly trying to see fresh, or try to infuse a fresh lease of life into the party before polls. They are possibly mulling over placing a Hindu face as a chief minister. Sunil Jakhar could be one of those probables. How do you look at this?
See, Bharatiya Janata Party is one political party when, like, it is a slogan, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, and Sabka Vishwas. So for us, somebody coming from Hindu religion or Sikh religion or some other religion doesn't matter at all. For us, Punjab state matters. But I would like to mention one thing here. When we talk about Navjot Singh Sidhu, I don't know what is the mindset of Mrs. Sonia Gandhi or Rahul Gandhi, because this is one person, Navjot Singh Sidhu. He is always in praise of Imran Khan. He is one person when he went to
try and patch Anila back again. We seem to be having a connectivity problem. Anila, we're going to try and patch you once again there. Let me cut across to our panelists for more on that. But before that, let me take you through the developments here. The all MLA meet that's currently underway has just ended, and we hear that all of the MLAs have now passed a resolution asking for the Congress High Command to immediately announce the next chief ministerial face leading the party into 2022 polls at the earliest. Of course, now it remains, the party remains headless right ahead of polls, 4 months away, and they don't have a name as yet. So we're expecting that the party high command will announce a name at the earliest. Harmeet Shah, what do you say about Navjot Singh Sidhu's political aspirations here? He wanted to be elevated through the post of Punjab president of the Congress, and now he, in fact not now, he's been wanting and pushing himself as the chief ministerial prospect for the Congress for quite a while now. And it appears now it's almost like a red carpet for him. If the Congress High Command decides, they can announce Navjot Singh Sidhu immediately. But do you think that will happen? Do you think that they'll take a chance with Navjot Singh Sidhu?
I'm not too sure about it, Nabila. First thing first, that, in Congress tradition, you have a state president, and that state president is different from a chief minister, number one. Number two, so far as Navjot Singh Sidhu is concerned, yes, he has been able to raise issues. He has been able, at least on national TV, about Punjab's own problems. For example, the farmers issue, the power issue, and also the issues with the ideological issues regarding the desecration of Guru Granth Sahib in 2015 and the subsequent firing that took place. So he has been able to raise those issues on a broader platform. That said, if you look at the broader picture here, it's not about a one-day match or a test match, it's a longer series here. Here, Navjot Singh Sidhu has 117 constituencies to cater to. And there, I think that there's a lot of challenge that he encounters. Number one, he will not be liked by voters who have who support the BJP. He will not be liked by Panthak voters who are hardcore Akali supporters. For example, those who are initiated Sikhs. So all these things, they don't go in his favor, and also he carries a baggage.
All right, we've lost his connection there, Harmeet. I'm going to come back to you. Let me cut across to Tanvi. Tanvi, we know that it's months away for Punjab elections, and the most contentious issue for people of Punjab is the farm laws. And that's in their face. It appears that whichever government takes up for the farmers will seem to have, kind of support and the backing from its electorate. What do you think of the Congress party today with Captain Amarinder Singh now stepping down? Do you think the Congress party today will enjoy that kind of support from the farming community as well as the people at large in Punjab? And also the thought of in fact, placing a Hindu chief ministerial face?
Absolutely, absolutely. And let me tell you why. Captain Amarinder Singh was at the forefront of the farmers' campaign. He was the one who started it. If you remember, people in Punjab know that, there was one act that was given assent in the Delhi Legislative Assembly. So I don't know why the Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson over here is building castles in the air. Congress has a very fair chance of winning this election with or without Captain Amarinder Singh. And I'll tell you why. Look at all the other political parties. People from the BJP cannot even step out of their houses. That is their state in Punjab as of now. Akalis are like a pendulum. They go to BJP, now they are with BSP. They don't know where they stand as of now. And there is a lot of trust deficit, between the people of Punjab and the Akalis and the Badals, and they are for sure they're not coming back. And Aam Aadmi Party, they are so desperate for power. I mean, people of Punjab have already taught them in 2017 that you stay away from the Khalistani elements. You stay away from getting funds from them. And today, I don't know where are they getting these false hopes from. Congress is winning with or without Captain Amarinder Singh because they've picked up the right issues. They've supported the farmers. People in Punjab know that how Congress has been there for them during the entire protest when all other parties had abandoned them.
Well, backing them silently and actually actively participating is too big. There's difference to that on both aspects. That way, speaking of the Akalis, they've been on ground extensively backing the farming community at large. So they seem to be having that kind of support from the farmers, at least now.
So were Congress parliamentarians. If you have seen during the parliament session this time, all of them were there on the streets protesting in the house and outside the house, asking the government to do something to resolve the issues, take back the farm laws. So Congress, right from the MLAs of the party to the MPs in the parliament, and the entire, IYC, all NSUI, all of them have been key supporters of the farmers.
All right. Let's see how this pans out now. For the Congress, of course, it's going to be quite an uphill task for them to be pleasing their electorate, possibly in the face of anti-incumbency, also in the face of this contentious issue of the farming laws. Large chunks of population in Punjab right now are condemning it. They're hoping for some body, in fact, some party to really extensively lend their support, and whoever that is possibly will take away this election. But can the Congress really manage without Captain Amarinder Singh after a decade? That remains to be seen. Thank you very much, all our panelists, for joining us. On that note, I'm going to slip into a short break. We'll be right back with news and updates on the other side.